This is where I'm at. I'm at the Baymont Inn in Salem. I'm going to go ahead and put it down because I'm in such bad shape. I don't know. I put this up. This is Bob Goodlatte. He is in the House of Representatives. And there's a whole bunch more in here. You've got all the goodies. John Edwards, who's a state senator of Virginia. You got Sonny Shaw, and he owns this, where I'm at. And he owns a whole bunch of stuff now, and the Patels. And it's my understanding, and it's true, they were sent over here from India to help me by Great Britain. I was kidnapped and brought over here in 41, and I put all this up. And here they are, a gentleman who had seen one of my videos. He was a long-haul trucker in the, well, I don't want to identify him, and because he, it was 8/15 of 14 is when this was put in the paper. Valley Business is a local paper. But it's touting how great he is, and it's got all these people, your mayor, and I would use up all my time telling the names. But the ones that didn't come here to the banquet, because he's opened up so many more hotels. Anyway, there was a bunch, they sent their, they'd be sending me that condolences, wouldn't they? Because I'm just about dead right now. But you got your former, I'll be go to heck. I don't believe this. This is the girl here that yesterday, she's the manager here. Heather Spears, I didn't notice this. I am going to put this up. My God, I didn't even notice it. Where'd I get it? Right here. I don't know if you can get her name, though. I am going to put it up, by God. There's her name, Heather, and then Spears. Well, it's so old I can't get it up good, but that's her name. Right here, yeah. She's the manager here. That's all I'm going to do because it'll take up my time. So she's a part of this whole damn mess. I put up about how they've run me. I was kidnapped, who my dad is. And it was a takedown, if I can even talk this morning. This has been ongoing. Let's see if I can even put it up. I want to say this, though, while I had her name on here, Heather Spears. I didn't know it was in this article till just now, because that was back in, anyway, I'm just going to go on and I'll use all this up. When the day that a cab driver brought me in here, because I was run from another, they're all that I can afford here, and I can't afford them, owned by the Patels and Shaws, and most of theirs is upscale too, and I can't even walk in the front door. But I came in that day in July, I believe it was the 19th, because I was run from one of their places out in Troutville using chemicals again. I mean, just about killed me there. I'm brought here by the cab driver, and her name is Heather Spears. She's still here, so that means she's been here for a long time then, with Sonny Shaw. Now then, the reason I'm saying that, I can't remember the exact day of the Charlottesville, what happened there that they blamed on the Ku Klux Klan and all that. They were taking down Robert E. Lee's statue. There's more to that whole thing that the media's not going to tell you. Heather was the girl that the guy that I believe he died, it was in the car that took, her name was Heather. And he had to back up, I believe, I don't know how, but it's so, the synchronicity, if you're under, they're playing around with mind control, mass. And Snowden tried to touch on it. And he ended up in Russia, and you don't even hear about him anymore. But I want to finish this. It's the name Heather. I come and check in here, and then this happens. There's more to that. They killed Anastasia up there in Blue Ridge Mental Health, and they're just about getting me here. I'm just about dead. I'm not kidding you. I have lived my life of being kidnapped and brought over here and tortured, and my children tortured, and it's still ongoing. I had a letter from the FBI, ongoing investigation, national security involved, June the 23rd of 79. I'd done a medical malpractice book, MD, A License to Kill, about mind control back then, 76, till they almost killed me April Fool Day of 80. I was flown out at Mr. Flint's, and he says that I knew who was responsible for his shooting. He mentions Larry McDonald, who was a congressman doctor, and he did this endorsement April of 84. So that I don't take up all the time that I was brought here. This is me in 41. Brought here in 40. I brought here in 41. This is in 43 that this was taken, I believe. This is the woman, Lina, who had twins out of wedlock, Peggy and Carl. They gave me, she killed them, and the family covered it up. She would have faced the gas chamber in Alabama. And they're in Sessions, who's your attorney general now, is... I thought maybe because Sessions was appointed, he would have some of this hell that was done to me in Huntsville and Moulton and in Alabama would bring it before the public. But I don't think he is now. I'm going to show real quick my dad's Edward VIII, who was never married to Wallace Simpson, a double married her in 37. My father was married to my mom always, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe, from Madison, Wisconsin. And the whole thing was to take down my father because he wouldn't do what the Freemasons or the Illuminati, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedys. Joe Kennedy was appointed ambassador to England by another Jew, Roosevelt. And they, in 36 till 46, they kicked him out. So they planned to take down my father. He wouldn't take orders from him, like my uncle, illegal George VI. And I was going to show that. Here he is in 36 with Mrs. Roosevelt here. How cozy. Hot dog festival. And this is Roosevelt's mother. And this is Elizabeth's mom. She's a Rothschild, the banking ones that control the bank. And she's the mother of Elizabeth, who knows all this, knows who my father was. She lived in Buckingham Palace at the same time I did. When I was born, they're planning my kidnapping here. I was born in 39, so they're planning it here. Oh, now, if I'm jumping around, I was writing about mind control murders, and I'm going to get into that now and what's happening to me here. I've put up here for a long time that I have an autoimmune disorder, and if I'm around toxic fumes, especially when they're deliberately done in a closed-in area like I am here. And I'm showing my bedroom because I'm in bad shape, all right? Well, that's all I have is a bedroom. I can't get near the air conditioning and heating over there. I've told this is how they run me, and I've quoted a state trooper, Carl Barton. Now, I don't mean to hurt Carl Barton. I think he told me this. He brought me over to, his wife did, off the mountain where they were hosts at campground where they'd come in at night. It's my understanding that it was the volunteers for the Appalachian Trail. I don't know, it was midnight. They poured fuel on the tent, and I come out thinking I was dying. I sit up all night, and they brought me down to Affordable Corporate Suites off, is that Starkey Road? there. Anyway, you get into crypt and code that fit together. I think it's the name of, now I can't even think because I'm so bad from what they've done to me now. Um, Ringo Starr's real name was that Starkey? The name of the road is his name, real name. And you get into places like I worked at Fred Simpson's, the DA, after they almost killed me after I'd done the book in 80. And he's in Huntsville, Alabama, NASA. And I'll waste all my time, or not wasting it, trying to get background so you know where I'm coming from here. But John Lennon was shot by Mark David Chapman. Well, Mark's my son's name. He's a real heir after me, and I'm almost afraid to say anything anymore. I don't know where they are, if they're alive or dead. And Mark's there after me. And the things they did to my sons got it into me. I haven't even put up. It would take this country down if they told it the Illuminati controls your media. They've known all along about my kidnapping, but these murders that were done in patterns, can you imagine if somehow the truth is made to be told, and you've got your vice president going out to Sutherland Springs, where the people were shot in church, and this man, they're blaming mental health on it. Mental illness has nothing to do with mind control and programming. They put chips in root canals, heart bypasses, etc. I was writing about it then. You can Google stuff now. You won't find the one deaths done in patterns, but there's a lot on mind control, MK Ultra, etc. I'm not saying they're the ones doing this, all right? But here's this man was, what was his last name? Oh God, I can't think of his last name. Kelly, that shot those, was programmed, I'm sure, to shoot them. And at the church. Now, he was in the Air Force. So he was probably programmed a long time ago, too. It doesn't mean he was programmed yesterday. It started a long time ago. And he beat up his wife and stepchild, I believe. And it shows him having this horrible background. They're going to say it's mental illness. Here is Timothy McVeigh again. He's dead. He was put to death. He said that the Army implanted him, U.S. Army, with a computer chip. Well, that's true. Timothy McVeigh drove the Ryder truck because he was under mind control, and it took down the Murrah building in Oklahoma City. And Nichols is still in prison there, but this is the implantable biochip. And this is what I was telling about. And the church here actually bought the book and gave it to me and says, this is what you've been telling. It's Project Lucid's name of it, but Tex Mars, I believe, or Jim Mars. And it talks about the end times. I don't know much about that. I know the Illuminati kidnapped me, and they're in power now. So it sounds, with what I'm telling, it sounds very true. After they took down my father and all that and kidnapped me, they put the military all over the UK, and thus, it's like going to D.C. and taking over everything. Well, you got the whole United States you're taking over. Especially they'd taken out my father and kidnapped me. I'm going to show this and then no more. This is Grand Theater. This was in 7/16/13, and they've got this man. He's a victim, just like the Virginia Tech shooter next door, or Fort Hood shooter, who was a psychiatrist and went to Blacksburg, Virginia Tech next door, and he was born right here in Roanoke County. This is James Holmes, and he is they put him in the mental hospital and gave him psychotic drugs. It's like giving psychotic drugs to a cancer victim, which would only hurt them, not help them. And to give somebody psychotic drugs who's suffering from mental illness, you have to stop the programming. It's the sickest thing. Can you imagine if finally they told this? You've got the vice president, who I think is probably a good guy. I'm going to show the double that she married. One of them came the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. All this has been allowed to go on in Winston Churchill. My dad was always married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, and she was queen in 36. Now then, Winston Churchill, the prime minister, his mother was an American. He burned the Windsor files. That's my birth certificate, although I think there's one left, and my father's marriage to my mom. And this was all covered up, and now I'm telling it, it's still covered up. So I'm going to... I've been made to run around and almost kill me. I've tried to leave Roanoke, and I've been made to come back because of my illness. That's how they run me. The autoimmune disorder. If I'm around toxic fumes, it triggers my immune system to attack itself, and you can die, especially over time, from the inflammation to your organs and all of it. So about a month ago, and I'm going to show this, and that's all, just that I keep it on because they were nice to me here. I'm not going to show it's where I was in the hospital. I'd come off the mountain. I'd gone up there for a few days because I couldn't afford it here till I got my check, and I was going to come back here. And I didn't know all this was going to happen. I guess I should have known, but what am I to do? I'm run from place to place. Nobody does anything about it by using chemicals on me. And I went up on the Appalachian Trail where I used to go because they had me shut down where that's the only place to go. In the winter, I froze and starved. My God, you'd have to see. Well, I'd already been the month before because here it was clean, at least, and I didn't know all this, was going to happen. This happening now. So I went to the North Creek campground, and the people there actually work for the National Forestry. The agriculture department, the forestry. They had a truck furnished and a home on wheels you wouldn't believe, must have cost a bloody fortune. They were a part of soaking me in chemicals, and I wish somebody had videoed all that. It is so sick what they did to me for 2 weeks before I could get back down and get the money to pay my rent back here, hopefully be safe. Now then, I had to do that again. I did that twice while I've been here since July the 19th of this year at the Baymont Inn. I went back up there the end of, just before September, I'm trying to think. Oh, I wanted to get back to the Charlottesville. When I came in here, I was brought in here July the 19th this year. The woman who is over here, that's her name that they've got in this article here. So I can't even think right now, and I'm going to waste, is this going to go off? I wanted to put one other thing up here before it goes off, and that's NATLIE Wood years ago. The last part of that movie, they had to replace her because she died, and that was a mind control murder, and I told this way back then, and there was plenty to support it. It's a movie she was in, Brainstorm, to where the government had fix something that come up with something so they could have people feel other people's pain or emotions, almost like Mark from Ork. And Pam Darby married Mark, and it was like this planet has emotions. And he died. Williams did. Robin Williams supposed to have committed suicide, which it was murder by mind control. Now I'm going to cough, so you hear this. I have been through hell. Stayed here the last month. Now then, this is when it's better. I haven't had the heat, even touched